Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm so glad that you can join me. My name is Louisa Lorado and I'm here to guide you through this masterclass where I'm going to be talking all about what's stopping you from transforming your financial future after your bankruptcy. All right, so let's get into this. So you are in the right place today if you're ready to stop worrying about money, like not being able to afford things and living paycheck to paycheck. If you're ready to start rewrite your money story for the better, if you're tired of feeling like a failure for ending up in the situation you're in, or if you don't ever want to end up in bankruptcy and hardship again. So if you answered yes to any of those, then you are definitely in the right place. Now, though, this might not be the right place for you if you aren't prepared to make any changes to your life, or if you're just planning on listening to all the things I say and don't actually take any of the recommended actions. I want you to remember the only way that you're going to make any changes in your life is if you actually start taking action. No one's going to magically fix this for you, unfortunately. So I've got a promise for you today. So my promise is I'm going to deliver as much value as possible in this 60-minute free masterclass. And everything I tell you today is not just based on theory or things I've read. It's actually things I've tried and applied and practically put to use in my own life with huge success. And now I want to share that with you. Now, in return, all I ask is that you keep an open mind about the new information I'm going to be sharing with you today, that you listen to the whole masterclass so you get the most value from it, because you might miss some key insights or, the big aha turning points if you switch off early, and that you take plenty of notes so that you can implement all of the stuff that I'm going to be telling you today. I've got some valuable insights that I'm excited to get into. Now, some tips though to get the most out of this class. Make sure you're getting yourself comfortable in a quiet room without any distractions, because you deserve to treat yourself to this whole hour to yourself, because you're going to be looking at how you can transform your finances, which in result is going to help transform your life. So I want you to get the most out of it. Now, if you have any extra tabs, web pages, apps open on whatever device you're watching this on, I recommend you closing them down just to improve the bandwidth during the session so you stay connected to the whole session. Now, during this masterclass, you're going to learn 3 of the biggest mistakes people make trying to get back on track after bankruptcy. And I'm going to share with you my simple 4-step method that's going to help you break free of financial struggles for good. And this is the exact same framework. And I'm going to explain a bit towards the end, but I do have a new exciting product that I'm going to be launching called the Bankruptcy Breakthrough Blueprint. And the step I'm sharing with you today is exactly what you get inside the paid implementation program. So make sure you make the most of this while it's free. Okay, now at the end, if anyone does want to decide, and like I said, I've got heaps of free content I'm going to get to first before I even start speaking about any of this. But at the end, if you decide you do want to take your learning further and sign up for the Bankruptcy Breakthrough Blueprint, it's a bit of a tongue twister, I do have a bonus for any action takers, and you'll be able to access 8 weeks of live Q&A coaching calls to help support you and answer any questions that come up along the way while you're working through all the steps that I'm going to be talking about. And this just helps make all of the learning and things, like we can all sit down and learn these things in theory, but until we're actually taking the action and trying to implement them in your life, it's not actually going to change anything. So having that support and that opportunity to ask me all the questions as you're going through the steps, and also have that coaching and extra training, that's just going to help make this a long-lasting thing for you, because I don't want a quick fix. I want you to get the most out of your life. Now, let's have a little bit of fun to start off. Make sure you can see the pictures on the screen right now. So you'll notice that there's 2 gardens, one on the left, which looks a bit overgrown, a bit crazy, and a beautiful manicured garden on the right. Which would you prefer? Now, I'm assuming you choose the one on the right if you had a choice. Now, what I want you to think about is that the one on the left, that was like my mindset before my bankruptcy, leading up to that bankruptcy, where There's all weeds, it's all overgrown. Like my mind was crazy. And I'm sure if you've been through it too, you can 100% relate to that. That stress, worry, you just don't know what to do. So it gets a bit overgrown. Now, what I want you to imagine is if you were going to change the garden on the left towards the garden on the right, there's a few, obviously, that you're going to have to put a bit of work into it. Now, let's say you decided you couldn't be bothered doing any weeding, but you're just going to water it and fertilize it. Will you see any improvements? Well, yeah, you might start seeing it greening up a little bit. It might start looking a bit more lush. But is it going to ever look like the garden on the right? Well, probably not. So to explain why I'm telling you that, I want you to imagine that's your mindset right now. So at the moment, imagine all the weeds is your current frame of mind, your mindset, the way you're thinking, all the stories, beliefs, ideas that you have. And, you can water it. You can add, all the knowledge, all the training and things like that. But unless you get to those weeds, which is that mindset, it's never going to be like the one on the right. So let's now imagine I said to you, I'm going to hand you this giant pile of cash. All you have to do for me is transform the garden on the left into the garden from the right. Would you be up for that challenge? I'm sure you would. Now, you have two options here. How would you do it? So you can choose the smart, efficient, quick way where you get an expert. So you can find someone like a gardener or a landscaper who knows the quickest, easiest way. They do this all the time. This is their life. They've learned from mistakes and they are ready to guide you and make sure that you can get that garden done within that time frame, and then you'll very likely get the cash. Now, obviously, you're going to have to pay them a fee for their services. However, in the end, you're going to get to the goal, which is that big pile of cash, easy because you know you've got the fastest route. Or would you choose the slow option where you might know a little bit about gardening, but you don't know all there is to know, and you might make a lot of mistakes because you're just doing it on your own. You're trying to figure out the best way. Now, you might get that garden transformed in that 3 months, but it's very likely that you won't get that done within that short time frame. So what would you do? I want you to think about it. Is it worth paying someone, an expert, to fast track you there to guarantee you that cash, or would you rather hope for the best and see what works out? Now, I'm going to come back to this a bit later. That's just something to think about. Now, when I decided to step out of my comfort zone, this was the number one way that I transformed my financial situation. But it wasn't just being open to change and learning new things that made the biggest mindset. It was how I took action that mattered most, and I want to share that with you. Now, before I do though, a bit more about me. If you've never met me before, or if I haven't seen you, I'm a mum of 2 teenagers. I'm a wife. I've got 2 dogs, and I'm a teacher and a life coach. And when I'm not helping people live abundant lives, you can probably find me somewhere out in nature, either camping, hiking, at the beach. Anything in the outdoors is my happy place. Now, I want you to know that I've been exactly where you are right now, going bankrupt, and that utter dread and worry about my finances. So I know exactly what you're going through right now. Now, I've also worked with a range of different people through my coaching and wellness retreats, and I've seen that the principles that I'm teaching you today and in my course actually work. It's not just me saying, I think this will give this a go. This is stuff that actually works. Now, I've used these simple tools that I'm sharing with you today to completely overhaul my family's financial situation, so money is never something we worry about anymore. But it wasn't always this way. Let me take you back. So back in 2016, after years of my husband and I living really comfortably, we'd set ourselves up, or so we thought. Things are about to change for us in a way we could never imagined. Now, after years of doing pretty well financially, a few bad investment choices left us hanging on by a thread. Then the property market crashed and we had costly property repairs that we just couldn't pay for. It was just like one thing after another. And I just remember standing in the kitchen wondering, would I even have enough food for my family to buy, dinner for that week? I couldn't believe it had even come to this. I'd never imagined that I would ever be in such a situation. I just had never felt so stressed or worried in my life. And the actual reality of not being able to afford to feed my kids, that was so terrifying and confronting. And I just remember, the weeks before we made the decision leading up to that choice to go bankrupt, the sleepless nights, the stress, all that snowball of all those things on top of the other. You just don't function. You can't communicate properly. It affects your relationships. You're just sort of operating on autopilot without knowing what to do. It's that utter dread that I would never wish upon anyone. So at the time, I didn't actually know what bankruptcy was. I mean, I'd heard about it, but I just thought it was this thing that rich businessmen did to get out of paying their debts. I never thought it would be an option for us. But after doing a lot of my own research on what we could do, how could we get out of this situation, bankruptcy actually looked like the best deal for us. And we were really fortunate at the time that we found an amazing bankruptcy consultant that just helped explain the process to us and helped us advise us on the best way to do it. And obviously everyone's watching this from different countries, so I know there's different ways that you go bankrupt and different, all the different formalities of it. But most in Australia, you don't have to get a lawyer, but you can file it all yourself quite easily. But when you're in that mindset of not being able to, so overwhelmed with all the stress of that money problem, then it was easy for us just to find someone. And the best thing they told us to do, first of all, was stop paying your bills, stop paying, your mortgages, and put our fee on your credit card, because they knew that credit card would be wiped out too. So essentially, it was like we got this service for free, and it just took that weight off our shoulders. And this actually meant we actually had money for groceries and daily living again. I felt like, that biggest weight had been taken off my shoulders. It was that utter freedom all of a sudden that I just didn't know I could feel again. So what we decided to do, because we'd made such a big decision to go bankrupt, it wasn't one we took lightly, we thought we need to use this to our advantage. So we'd finally had a clean slate, and we hadn't had that since, when my husband and I first met and we were just moving out of home together. So we could actually start rebuilding our finances again. Now, we both had really good jobs at the time, and we'd saved up some money during our bankruptcy period in the beginning, but there still was a problem. I couldn't work out why we were still living paycheck to paycheck and constantly having to go into those small savings that we managed to get up just to get by. And like I said, we both had really good jobs, and we also had, my husband's work gave us company housing. So we should be, getting ourselves sorted now, but it just wasn't happening, and I just couldn't figure it out. Now, after a lot of wondering about this, I realised the problem actually had nothing to do with how much we were earning or spending. It was all about my mindset around money, and when I figured this out, it was a game changer. And the reason that my mindset was not in a good place, even though we declared bankruptcy and we were doing a lot better, I was so scared that I was going to make the same mistake again. I was really overcautious with money, and I was worried about every single cent that we spent. So the saying, we can't afford it, that just became my default go-to if my poor kids did not enjoy that very much. It was my normal vocab now. And I had no confidence with money anymore, because I held my own self responsible for what had happened and the reason for us going bankrupt, because I was the person in our household that's in charge of our finances. So I feel like at that time I thought I should have done something better, even though now I realise there was nothing I could have done. And at that stage though, I wasn't in the place where I am now. So at the time I just felt, that really that self-worth was shot, that scared that I would go bankrupt again or screw up our finances again. So I didn't feel worthy of spending any money on myself, and I felt really guilty about spending money on anything like courses or my financial education, even if it was going to benefit my family. I was also really embarrassed and ashamed, as my husband and I had achieved so much quite early on in our life, and then we lost it all. So I really worried what others would think of us, and would they judge us? Because bankruptcy is not a thing that's really spoken that openly about. It's almost a bit of a taboo subject. And when you don't know anyone else that's in the same situation as you, it can be really isolating, and there is a lot of shame that goes along with it. And I thought I was just going to have to face this all on my own. But I was wrong. But clearly, I had a lot of work to do first. So by educating myself and working through my money blocks, I was able to fully rebuild my life financially in just a few years. Now, at first I tried to do it on my own, just like that gardening challenge I showed you in the beginning. I was like, no, I'm not going to pay anyone for their services. I'm going to go the slow way because I can do this on my own. So what I did is I started reading a whole load of books because I love reading and watching people online, watching videos and things. And that was good. I started implementing some stuff and sort of getting a little bit on track, but then I was making mistakes and having to sort of start again. So I soon realized that I would reach my goals much quicker with the help of a mentor who was already where I wanted to be. Flashback to that gardener at the beginning. I realized this after spending about a year or so trying to go through it on my own. I realized, you know what, if I find someone that's where I want to be, and I wanted to find someone who had, had nothing, and I found several. I did quite a few different online things, online courses and training and mentors. But I wanted to find people who had been, knew what it was like to have nothing and built success from there, so I could see their fast track to get to where I wanted to be. So I enrolled, like I said, in a number of different online courses, and that way I had direct access to coaches, mentors, and experts to help me fast track those financial goals. And this is what happened, which I'm really excited to share with you. So right at the very end of 2019, we got discharged from our bankruptcy. Now, we'd accumulated quite a lot of savings at the time, and about a year later, we had over $100,000 in our savings account. Now, we went on several overseas family holidays, both during our bankruptcy and after our bankruptcy, which we could easily pay for. We had $50,000 invested in shares. We managed to buy our own family home. Then we also had the opportunity to buy an investment property that my mum was able to live in to give her that accommodation. And we've been pre-approved for another loan for another investment property. So just in those few short years after our bankruptcy, we have gone from, nothing really back on track again. And I'm sure that's just going to go onwards and upwards. Now, we've also managed to create multiple streams of income. So that way we can enjoy regular family holidays. We're growing our savings accounts and our investments accounts all the time. And things just like eating out and getting to enjoy family experiences together. Those things that I used to say, oh, sorry, we can't afford that. That just became a normal part of our life now, because we've got all these different ways that we've opened to now that bring us in more money. And that just means no more money stress. And also the added bonus of getting to help out family members. Like I've assisted both my mum and my dad financially. And I don't have to worry about that. It's that freedom that you can help others and give back, which is just game changing. Now, and you know what? I don't want to keep this all to myself. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because I want you to be in this exact same situation that I'm in now. I don't want you to be here because you don't need to be. I want to show you the quick way. And you know what? We found out each year our income has still been increasing after applying all these principles that I've learned without us having to put in any extra hours or working harder. So same amount of working time, but more money. And I'll share with you a little bit about that as well. Now, most importantly, this is the one I love most. I don't have to tell my family we can't afford it anymore. And our days of worrying about spending are now over. No more money stress ever again. And I'm really excited that you can be joining me on this so I can share this with you so you can do it too. Now, I want to share with you the 3 mistakes to avoid when you're recovering from bankruptcy or financial hardship. And these are mistakes I have made myself. So if I tell you what they are, hopefully you can avoid doing them too. Make sure you've got a pen and paper handy so you can take notes in this bit. So mistake number 1 is getting stuck in a lack or scarcity mindset. This was my biggest mistake that kept me stuck for quite a few years. Now, if you're in a lack or scarcity mindset, these are the things you might be experiencing. So feeling worry or dread about your finances and spending. You might be stuck comparing yourself to others. or feelings of like envy, jealousy, and blame are like normal in this mindset. And having these feelings, it's normal after bankruptcy because you know exactly how it feels to lose everything and you just don't want it to happen again. But this means you're attracting more lack and scarcity into your life. So you're never going to get ahead no matter how much you earn. This is why we were living paycheck to paycheck, because I was stuck here. And you know what? After doing a lot of research and having a lot of teachers, I've learned that scientific principles have proven that, like attracts like. So if you are spending all your time worrying and stressing about money, what tends to happen is you attract more things that make you feel worried or stressed about money. So things like having unexpected bills that you weren't accounting for, having things like appliances breaking down that you need to replace. So even though, you might have enough money, all these things keep coming up all the time and it keeps that cycle of worry and stress. However, when you swap that around and you move into the abundance mindset, that's when you open yourself up to new opportunities and you create more things that will make you feel that abundance. It sounds crazy, but I can tell you it works. So by switching to an abundance mindset instead, you open yourself up to attract more money in your life. And like I said, I've done numerous courses, lots of training, lots of self-education, and I've studied a lot of really successful people and really wealthy people. And the only common denominator that I found with every single person, no matter what the course is, it might be in a sales course, a share course, or anything, they all say that if you are like coming from this abundant mindset, that's when you open yourself up to opportunities. And without that, you will not be successful. And you know what? Switching to an abundant, lack and scarcity is our default. Everybody's default, no matter whether they've gone through bankruptcy or not. And it's a real skill to learn to, just be able to train that abundance thinking. So that's why so few people are in that successful, rich, wealthy bracket. And the majority of people are sort of, just getting by, which is really fascinating when you start looking into it. Now, I couldn't believe the almost immediate change that happened in my life after I applied this principle myself. So I just remember the day that I finally, it really sunk into me, and I was like, right, let's, get into this abundance thinking. And I'd done a lot of work over getting rid of blocks and limiting beliefs and changing my mindset. And I remember driving in the car and thinking, yep, this is it. I can just feel that abundant energy going through me. And, you just start getting these ideas that you were closed off to before. So things like relaunching my coaching business after I'd put that on hold for a few years. That came up. So that's another way of getting income. The opportunity when we bought the property for my mum that we went shared in with my sister, that opportunity came up that we would have been closed off to before and would have said, no, we can't afford it. These things keep coming up to us. But the biggest bonus that I was really excited about, and it was literally just after I made that decision, we're going to start creating more money. My husband at the time was had just quit his job and was transitioning to another company. And he hadn't been at the company long enough, long service leave, so we weren't expecting any payouts or anything like that when he had moved. We just, thought it was what it was. However, literally 2 days after this penny drop for me, we had an extra $20,000 in our account just from unexpected long service leave. And we still to this day haven't figured out why he got it, but hey, we took it and enjoyed it. So it just shows that I've found that when you are open to this sort of way of thinking, the abundance mindset, you open yourself up to not only practical opportunities like starting the business and things like that, but also unexpected ways as well, which is really exciting and it's lots of fun. All right, second mistake that you might be making, and I definitely was making, is staying in your comfort zone. Now, when you've had a big financial setback like bankruptcy, it's really normal to want to keep yourself safe and just do what feels comfortable for a while. So when you keep doing the same thing though, you can't expect anything to change in your life. So if you're repeating the same patterns that led you to your bankruptcy in the first place, you're more likely that you're never going to get ahead, unfortunately, financially. Because if you're doing the same things that made you broke, then you're going to keep that pattern repeating. Now, how do you know if you're staying in your comfort zone? Well, if you answer yes to any of these, this might be you. So if you don't want to try anything new, if you're doing the same thing and expecting different results, even though you already know it's not going to work, if you aren't prepared to learn new things or ask for help to reach your goals, or you might start doing really well, and this is one I do all the time, but then it gets too hard or scary, so you give up and self-sabotage just before you reach that success. Now, to reach any goal you have in your life, it's likely you're going to have to learn something new or do something you've never done before. And this is really scary. It's hard. It's the unknown. And you know what? You might fail. But if you don't even try, are you any better off than trying it and failing? Well, no, because you would have learned from your mistakes, which will mean you're less likely to fail the next time. Or at the very least, know what not to do. And that's why, like I said, I was in this place for quite a while. But as soon as I started trying these new things, I still made mistakes, but now I've learned from them and now I'm teaching you so you don't have to make them. Now, sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone means you need to learn a new skill or ask for help. And this sometimes is when it gets too hard or too scary, so you just don't do it. But when you take this step or open yourself up to new opportunities and get to learn new skills that will help you get to where you want to be heading. So I put this theory to the test myself when I learned share trading. Now, a bit of background. So I did this in the middle of our bankruptcy. After, I think it was about the second year of our bankruptcy, I decided I was going to learn share trading. And so at the time, I was in my late 30s, and my whole life, I knew what shares were, but I just had no interest. It looked so confusing. Every time people tried to explain to me, it just went over my head. I just couldn't take in this information. And so it was really scary. It was really the unknown. And you know what though? I had absolutely no idea about it, but I knew that learning about it was going to help me get me closer to my financial goals that I wanted to hit. So because I had no understanding of how the share market worked, it felt really scary and so unknown to me. But I knew then that I was going to be closing myself off to any opportunities to earn money this way if I wasn't prepared to put in the work, do the uncomfortable thing, and learn how to do it. So what I did, instead of trying to figure it all out myself again, at this point in time, I was like, actually, fast track way is finding people that are going to help me. So I found an expert who could help me. I did a bit of research and found a really great Australian online course that just was really simple and broke it all down for me. And this is what had happened. So I'd learned a whole new skill set that I now have for the rest of my life. And that's what I love about when you do any sort of knowledge-based learning. You get to keep whatever you learn. You have that forever. So even if you're not still in that place, you still know what to do. So you broaden your brain and it just opens you up. So then I started to feel confident and I could finally invest and start trading shares on the stock market. And I actually started making a little bit of money from it. And then now to this day, I've still managed to use this to create an additional stream of income for my family through the dividends we get from our shares. And I never would have created this if I hadn't stepped out of my comfort zone and learned a new skill. All right, so the next mistake people make is blaming others for your situation that you're currently in. Again, another one I did. So when things go wrong in your life, sometimes your ego wants to protect you from taking responsibility for any wrongdoing on your part. So you find someone or something to blame because that makes yourself feel better. But this, you know what? This is because it's much easier than taking responsibility for your own actions. So to protect yourself, you might do one of these things. Maybe you're pointing the fingers at others around you instead, even your loved ones or even yourself. You might blame the situation on the circumstances. So it might be, the property market crash, the stock market crash. I had all these repairs that came up unexpectedly. Or you might feel angry or resentful to the person or circumstances that you are blaming. So if you answered yes to any of these, it might be something you need to look at. But all this is doing is putting a strain on your relationships. So you'll be holding on to anger and resentment, and this only makes you feel bad, and it doesn't serve you in any way. It's just affecting you, really. Until you can release and forgive these people or the circumstances or yourself that you're blaming, you're not going to be able to free yourself from the burden of the past and move on. So it keeps you stuck in that past, in that situation, and that's not going to serve you. So this is even if this person you're blaming is yourself. Now, when you start to become accountable to yourself instead, you're going to start to recognize that you have the power to change your circumstances and create the life you desire. So you need to start focusing on the solution and not the problem. Remember, the problems happen. It's in the past. You can't change it. So how can you solve it? Now, I just want to note here that there's a difference between blaming yourself and taking responsibility for yourself. So when you're blaming yourself, you're still holding on to that resentment and that anger towards yourself. And it's a bit of a shame thing too. But when you're focused on being accountable for yourself, you're just acknowledging, yep, this is my role in the situation. And you realize that you're also the only person that has any control and can change the situation. So you start to look for solutions for your problem rather than just focusing on that problem. But if you're blaming yourself, you're more likely just to admit defeat, punish yourself for your mistakes, and you don't feel worthy of actually finding that solution. So you're probably just going to curl up and try and forget all about it. The bottom line is here, you aren't going to reach your financial goals if you don't stop making these 3 mistakes I've told you today and fix your mindset about money first. So if you think back to those 2 garden pictures I shared in the beginning, with the garden full of weeds, it doesn't matter how much we water or fertilize that garden. It wasn't until we cleared out the weeds that we're going to get the garden to look the way we want. And that's this mindset that I'm talking about. And the fastest and easiest way to do this is with a strategy in place. And now I'm going to share with you my exact strategy. And this is the strategy you'll get in the paid course as well. But I'm going to give you the overview for free today so you can start thinking about how you could implement this in your own life. And this is my 4-step framework to bounce back financially after bankruptcy, which I'm so excited I can share with you. Now, the 4 steps that I'm going to talk about is awareness, empowerment, resilience, and sustainability. These are the 4 things I found that you need to really set yourself up for not just financial success, but long-lasting financial success for the rest of your life. Now, the first thing you need to do is become aware. Awareness is key. So this is where you get clear about your current mindset about money. And without this step, you're not going to be ready to change your current financial situation. In this step, you also need to understand why your money mindset is so critical for your financial success. And you need to get clear about the difference between a lack and an abundant mindset and how this has direct impact on your life and how much money you make in your life. You also need to be able to identify any limiting beliefs and money blocks you currently have that are keeping you in your current situation. And this is because you can't make any changes in your life if you aren't first aware of what's not working for you and why it's not working. Now, when we get into these mindsets, we often just sort of live on autopilot and we don't give it much thought. We just have the thoughts and go with it, and we don't really stop and reflect. So you really need to take that time to dive deep and figure out if all those thoughts and beliefs are actually true that you're telling yourself. They probably aren't, won't be. Now, you need to get to learn about yourself and get excited about the future you create, because you, like I say, you're the only one in control of this. Nobody else can do this for you. You need to do it for yourself. Now, most people don't do this step though, because it can be really confronting to look at yourself. And it means taking full responsibility for your own actions in your own situation, which can be really scary. So that's why most people don't do it. And that's why most people stay stuck, unfortunately. And it can also be really confronting looking closely at these limiting beliefs that we've held with us for so long. It's easier just to blame others or just keep on doing what you're doing because it keeps you in that comfort zone that I spoke about, and it makes you feel safe. And it's much easier than changing your mindset. And this is why, like I said, so many people stay stuck and repeat the patterns that keep them broke. That's why, you just see these broke people that keep doing the same thing. It's like that cycle continues whereas the wealthy people keep getting more and more wealth. So, it's that shift in how you're thinking makes such an impact. So only those few that are willing to take action and are open to change are going to be the ones that reach their financial goals. Now, the second thing you need to do now, this is the second step of the framework, is empowerment. And this is where you need to start to cultivate that positive relationship with money and rewrite the money story that you really want to have. Now, in the empowerment phase, you need to get clear on what you want your financial situation to look like. Because without that, you need a roadmap to get you know where you want to be going. This is going to give you a clear focus on what you want to work towards. It's like if you're going to a friend's house that you've never been to before. You'd need a map or some sort of directions to get you there. You wouldn't just drive around aimlessly and just hope that you're going to find it. And without that clear focus on where you're heading, you're just going to be aimlessly going around and not likely to reach any goals. Now, during this step, you need to have a clear action plan to follow to get you to where you want to be heading. You need to break down the steps towards your goals so you can see how you can actually easily apply them into your own life. And you need to have a range of tools and strategies to try so you can find the best ones suited for you to get you to those goals. Now, most people play it small or are too scared to set big goals for themselves, or they lack the knowledge about how to actually achieve those goals. But if you do this step, it's going to be your fast track to get you there because you're getting to break these things down into achievable chunks. Now remember, if you haven't done the mindset work though first, you're going to find even in this phase that you're going to just keep repeating those same mistakes and stay in that lack or scarcity space, which is going to set you up to fail. And I want you to succeed. I definitely don't want you to fail. Now you owe it to yourself to create the best possible opportunities for yourself and your family. So why would you skip this step? Just remember, you're not benefiting anyone by playing at sport or being stressed about money or being worried about money or being broke. You owe it to yourself, to your family, to your loved ones to make the best, to be abundant, to reach those goals because it will benefit everyone, not just yourself. So you are worthy for abundance. Just remember that throughout these steps. Like I just said, you're worthy of creating that abundant life. Now, when you set yourself clear, achievable goals, what you'll notice is you'll have the exact steps you need to take to reach your goal because you're clear on what you want. And when you do that, you get really excited and motivated to start taking action because you've broken the goal down into manageable steps. And you're so much more likely to reach your goal than people who don't set goals for themselves. And I noticed in my own life when I wasn't working towards any specific goal, it was like I just sort of switched my body into living on autopilot. And this is where I was just living day to day or doing the same things and just getting by. And I wasn't achieving anything. I wasn't getting any further ahead. It was like I was just staying stuck. But when you do start setting your goals and you make them small at first and you just sort of incrementally increase them, it makes you feel good because you actually feel like you're achieving something and it changes your whole mood. But this also makes you into a much better person, I found. And because what you're doing is when you're setting these goals, you're feeling more confident, you're feeling more positive. It builds your self-worth, it builds that confidence within, your own abilities. And I noticed for myself I was a much more pleasant person to be around when I was in that mindset rather than just that autopilot living. And plus I got to be a great role model for my kids because they got to see me setting and achieving goals as well, which, that's something I want for them. I don't want them being stuck. Now, the next step I want to talk to you about is resilience. And this is where you need to learn what to do when financial challenges come up. And they will. It is life. We're living a human existence. There's highs, there's lows. That's just the nature of life. So when those hard times do come up, and they come up for everyone, it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. Everyone goes through those waves. It's just normal. So when those things come up, how are you going to handle that to keep you in that great financial situation? So the reality of life is there's going to be some challenges, but when you have these tools and strategies in place to deal with problems, you'll ensure you won't find yourself in that terrible financial situation like bankruptcy again. And it's going to keep you focused and motivated to just keep looking at those long-term goals during challenging times. Now, most people crumble when it gets hard though. They are too worried about dealing with what's going on. And then they just focus on how do you deal with those finances in the moment. So they stop working towards their goals because they think the risk is too great, and they retreat back to their comfort zone. Does that sound familiar to anyone? And all that's doing is they're reacting to the present moment and completely forgetting about the big picture. So I want to use the example of the stock market for this one. And like I said, I've done a lot of reading. I've studied a lot of people who are wealthy and successful. And a really interesting concept I've heard from numerous people is when there's a big stock market crash. And I know in my lifetime there's been a couple of massive ones from memory. There was the global financial crisis, and then the COVID one. There was massive crashes in the market at that time. Now, what most people do, what the, I guess, middle class do, if they've got stocks invested, is they try and get out. They're like, oh no, the money's going down. Let's get those, sell. Let's get out. This is never going to recover. However, those people who have that knowledge and study these things, and those people that are big investors like your Warren Buffetts and things like that, what they do, they understand the nature of the cycles, the financial cycles. And every financial cycle, and this is one thing I learned in my share course, goes through, your highs, and then it slowly goes down, and then there's a low. So that's just the nature of it. Every single crash that's happened, there's another upswing. And so what you'll find these really successful people do, such as your Warren Buffetts, is they'll go out and they will buy up, spend thousands and thousands of dollars investing in the stock market during the crash, because they are getting this at a discount price. So it's like, imagine the Black Friday sales where you go and you buy up big because you know you're getting it at a price you're not going to usually ever get it at again. And these people that, a couple of the stocks might go bust, but the majority of them will, if they can ride out the wave, will get up, and that's how they make millions of dollars from that. And there's so many people that have, taken advantage of these crashes in life. So that's looking at the big picture and not what's right in front of you, which is what most people do. Now, if I had this skill before I went bankrupt, I think things would have been very different. So this is like one of my big takeaways I've learnt through my own bankruptcy. So when we filed because things just got too hard. Hindsight's an amazing thing. And had we seen 2 years in the future, we would have been like, we could have probably rode that out. However, at that time, we reacted. And you know what? That's fine, because I've seen my bankruptcy as my absolute biggest teacher. It's been the biggest life-changing event that's happened. And it's given me a whole new and improved perspective and skill set that I never would have had I not gone through that bankruptcy, and all this new information that I would not have had access to. And the fact that you're in a similar situation means that, you've also got this ability to use this to your advantage, because you know what it feels like. So you've got these extra skills that are going to help you build up that resilience, because lots of people haven't had to face massive challenges or financial setbacks. So now that you know that, you can think, okay, well, how can I learn from the mistakes I made so I don't repeat that pattern again? And that's what I want to help you with, so you can really see how you can use these skills to your advantage and retrain your brain and your thinking to make sure this would not happen again. And finally, the final step 4 is sustainability. So once you've got all these skills, you've done your mindset work, you've decided how you want to handle your money and empowered you to take control of your finances. You know what to do when things get tough, and you've got that resilience to get through any financial setbacks. Now I want you to be able to sustain any successes or financial growth you make. So in the sustainability phase, this is when you're going to learn how to sustain financial wellness, and this is where you need to start creating habits that stick. Now, you need to create simple routines to make this new way of thinking about money a part of your normal life. Now, I can't remember the amount of, books I've read or some courses that I've done where I, just consume the content, and I might have changed things for a few days, or think about like a diet you might have been on, or a gym, I'm going to start exercising or something like that. when you start these new habits, you're all motivated in the beginning and you start doing these things and you see some results and you're like, yes. And then, something might come up and you might miss a day or two. And then slowly you've noticed you're back to your old ways again. And this happens to everyone in all areas of life. But what I want you to do, if you can get through this step, is how do you make this just your normal part of your life? How do you set routines and habits that stick? So I want to show you how you can be accountable so that you stay on track. And I also want you, a really important step that lots of people miss is celebrating any successes you have along the way. So regardless of whether you're doing this with me or if you're doing this on your own, any little wins you have along the way, it's so important to celebrate them, because this is what keeps you motivated. This is what keeps you, focused on the big picture. And if you don't celebrate the little wins, it might take a year to reach the goal that you've set, or 2 years or 3 years. And if you just focused on that and not the little things that happen in between, then you might lose focus. So this is going to keep you, focusing on how far you've already come. And it means you're a lot more likely to reach those goals as well when you focus on all your successes along the way. And like I said, this is going to keep you focused and on track. So you're going to keep all the hard work that you've done or learning during these steps or through the program long after you've finished your training. Now, most people do a course, like I said, and forget about it. So that transformation just doesn't stick. So I want to show you a simple way to make this part of your normal life. And if you choose to do it with me, I'll give you the exact steps on how to do that. So if you can take away one thing from this masterclass, I want you to know that it's not enough just to learn about money making or money managing strategies on your own. It's all that knowledge, It's going to make the grass green, but it's not going to clear out all the stuff that's there. You have to change your mindset around money first to actually start seeing any positive results in your life. I'm going to repeat that again in case you want to write it down. You have to change your mindset around money first to actually start seeing all this on your own. So now, how are you going to do that? Well, I've developed this simple to follow 4-step framework, like I said, which is going to help you completely transform your mindset around money, which I've outlined for you today. So the big question is, how can you apply this to your current thinking around money to watch your financial situation change like never before? That's all I want for you guys, is to be back in a great situation again, or to be in the great situation for the first time. So you've got 2 choices here. So you can do it on your own. You can waste heaps of time and effort trying to figure this out all on your own, just like I did in the beginning. And it got me a little bit. It was like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back and 2 steps forward. And so, there was little bits of progress along the way. But it definitely, I wouldn't recommend it personally. But you still can, the fact you're on this call, the fact you're getting this information, you can apply all the things I've told you today and be in a much better position than you were before. So you definitely can do this on your own if you want. However, you can have the second choice, which is the fast track results. And that's what I want to talk about now, the Bankruptcy Breakthrough Blueprint. And I'm so excited about this. Now, I've created this whole framework for you because when I went through my bankruptcy, I realized that, like I said, I felt like I was on my own. I didn't know anyone else. Like, there's people that are going to tell you the knowledge stuff, and the practical stuff about bankruptcy. Like, you might have to do some financial counseling or learn how to manage your money better. But there's no one there to help you with that holistic approach. How do you work on your mindset? How do you work on the money-making strategies? How do you work on, what happens when things don't go right? No one was there to teach me that. So what I've done is I've put all of these things I've learned, all the things I've learned from other people, all the things I've learned from all the experts I've worked with over the last few years, and I've collated it in one simple system that I want to share with you today. So I want to give you a bird's eye view of what you'll learn each week if you do decide to take part of this program. So it's the 4 steps that I've just outlined, but I'm really going to give you the strategies and the how for each of them. So In the first module, this is your awareness, where you understand your money mindset. So in this step, you're going to understand the important role your mindset plays when it comes to your money. You'll understand the difference between a scarcity and an abundant mindset, and how you can use this to your advantage. And you'll get to identify any limiting beliefs and money blocks that are holding you back from reaching any of the financial goals, and learn how you can start shifting them. Now, in module 2, this is the empowerment phase, and this is where you get to start cultivating a positive relationship with money. In this phase, you're going to be creating your own financial goals that are clear and achievable. And I'm really going to break them down for you and show you the exact actions you need to take to reach them. You're going to learn money management secrets of the wealthy that will not only make you feel great about your finances and spending, but it's also going to help you keep you on track to reach those goals. And I'll give you all the templates and frameworks and things like that, so it's really easy for you to do that yourself. And you're going to be able to explore daily practices that are going to keep you on track and allow you to celebrate any wins you have along the way, which, like I said, is very important. Now, in module 3, this is a resilient phase where we'll be overcoming any financial challenges. You're going to learn how to deal with debt so that it serves you rather than you serving it. You're going to build your own financial resilience, so you have the confidence to navigate any challenges that come your way, and like I said, they will. And you're going to learn a range of strategies to use when you're faced with those financial setbacks, so you can feel secure and stay on track with your new money goals. And finally, module 4, this is where we look at sustaining financial wellness. So you're going to be looking at how you can create your own positive money mindset routine so the habits stick and become just that normal default part of your life. You're going to learn how to make yourself accountable and just stay on track with your money goals long after the program finishes. And you're going to learn why celebrating your wins and successes is so important, and it will help you continue your personal financial growth well beyond the program. Now, there's a few bonuses though, because when I created the course, I realized, there's a few more things that people might need just to really help them get to that next level and support them. So the first thing I wanted to create for everyone was VIP community access. So this bonus is going to give you access to our exclusive members only Facebook group to ask any questions that come up during the course, share your wins, get support, and keep each other accountable during the program. And I'm going to be really active in the group to help you through the program, so you don't feel like you're doing this on your own. So I'll be there to guide you through it as you're doing it. The next bonus is the Money Magnet Meditation series. Now, I've designed this to help support you through the program with a really fast-track method to help relieve any money stress and worry, and help you release those money blocks and limiting beliefs that are currently holding you back. If this is not your thing, you don't need to use it. It's just an optional extra for those who might get the most out of it. Now, if you are like me, who's always very busy, has a lot of things on the go, and you just think, oh my gosh, I just don't have time though to do a course like this, then that's why I created the Time Mastery Blueprint. And this is going to help you get on top of your schedule and help you free up some time so you can make the learning and the action steps achievable no matter how busy you are. Now, I've also designed a personal progress tracker. So if you're worried that the course is going to be too hard or you might not succeed, then the personal progress tracker is going to help keep you on track and accountable. And plus, you'll be able to see all your wins along the way, so you can celebrate your successes as you go through the steps. So that's just going to help keep you on track. And I've also going to give you a free training that I did recently on how you can actually create additional income during your bankruptcy. Now, this training is going to give you tips to create additional income during and after your bankruptcy, bust the myth that your income is fixed, and help you understand how much you're allowed to earn during your bankruptcy, because I know there's different laws on that. So this training is going to break that all down and give you all these great ideas you can use to create additional income. So this will in fact pay for the course itself if you do this training. Now, also on top of that, you're going to get lifetime to the entire system that I've shared with you. So that's all the bonuses, the whole bankruptcy blueprint with the 4 steps, and plus all that stuff I just showed you. This includes any future bonuses that I'm going to add to the program, or any future modules or training I'm going to add. So even if you bought it at this starting price, it's not the $5,970, that's what it's worth. But even if you buy it today, there's going to be so much in the future, because when I learn things, I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to share it with you. So I want the best for you as well, because what's the point of me just knowing the stuff when I can share it with others? It makes it more valuable. So you'll get updates if there's any updates to the course if you are part of the membership. Now, it's only going to take you $99 to get started right now, and you'll have immediate access to this whole system, including any updates. And if you're doing it within the 15 minutes, you'll get that bonus 8 weeks of Q&A time too. So the question isn't if you can afford to invest in this course, it's really, can you afford not to? Now, just to clear up something, what if you pay for the program and you find it's actually not right for you? Well, then I'm going to give you a cooling off period of a couple of days just to go through the first few modules or the first few videos. Have a look what's in there. Have a look at my style, the training. And if it's not what you're expecting, or if you find the way I teach is not right for you, then you can contact me and I will issue you a refund if it's in that cooling off period. But I can guarantee you, if you do the work, I can't do it for you, you've got to do the work that I suggest, then you're going to get the results. I can assure you of that. So what you are going to get if you say yes today is you're going to get immediate access to all the lesson videos, workbooks, templates, and bonuses that are going to be walking you through each step of the system. You're going to have 24/7 access to the course community for ongoing support. And you're going to have lifetime access to course material so you can work at your own pace and have access to any future updates and bonuses that you get in the program, which is really exciting. Now, if you are ready right now to take action, then, like I say, click that button. In the meantime, while I'm waiting, if you need that bit of extra time, I'm going to answer a few questions just to help clear up a few things so everyone knows exactly what to expect. All right, first question is, will this course help me if I've already gone through bankruptcy? Yes, 100%. This is, out of all the courses I've done, none of them have been tailored around bankruptcy, because I have not found anything that existed. So I have tailored all the knowledge I've made through mindset work, through money making, money managing things that I've learned, and I've put this all specifically for people who've gone through bankruptcy. So it's 100% right for you if you've gone through bankruptcy or if you're currently bankrupt. So next question is, can I take this course if I have limited financial knowledge or experience? 100%, definitely. This is going to be really good. So what I've done is I've broken it down in really simple and easy to follow steps. So every single part of the module, so it's all broken down into separate little trainings, mini trainings, and each training has a video that goes with it, and then there's an activity that you need to do that goes in the workbook. And so I'm going to really break down, explain, show to you, demonstrate in the most simplest way I can think of how to do that step. So this is for people who have these things. So a lot of people I know, and this might be one of the things you come up as a limiting belief that you might have about yourself, or something you tell yourself is lots of things. People say, I'm really bad with money. I'm really bad with managing money. I'm bad with finances. I don't understand it. All the numbers overwhelm me. So if that's you, this course is still fine for you, because I'm going to really break it down. When we get into that part that is more the money managing module, then I've broken down templates and spreadsheets, and where I've put all the information in, so you just have to put in your own numbers, which is really simple. So I've broken it down so you don't have to figure the whole how you're going to do it out. I've given you my exact template that I use myself for my family to manage our money, with the basic spreadsheets and stuff that I use just to keep on top of things. So I've made it really easy. So if you think you know nothing about money, that's perfectly fine for you. If you think you're an expert about managing money, then that's still going to be a good course for you, because it's all the other stuff that we do on top of the money managing. That's only one part of it. The rest of it, the biggest chunk is probably your mindset around money. So even if you are good at managing money, or maybe not managing money, but have that understanding of financial knowledge, then you're going to have the tools to work on that mindset, so then you can put that knowledge you have to the test, and I guess to use it to your advantage. So that will hopefully help you out as well. Next question is there any prerequisites or requirements for enrolling in the course? Well, technically no, but I am going to give you a prerequisite or a requirement. My only prerequisite for you is that you approach this with an open mind, that you're willing to learn something new, that you're willing to try something new. That might be out of your comfort zone. It might be you might think that sounds a bit weird, all this mindset stuff. Like you might be a real practical thinker and not be inclined to think any of those things. So I just want you to approach this with an open mind and go through the videos and go through all the content in the course and give it a go. What have you got to lose? And that's the big thing with me in my life. You know, when we've gone to that point where you've got nothing, you're like, well, got nothing else to lose, so let's just try something different. If what I tried before doesn't work, well, then I might have to try something new. And if you try it, and I'm going to give you a range of strategies. I'm not just going to say, okay, this is one thing that I use and that's it. I'm going to give you something I use, but I'm going to give you some other alternatives too. So you get to find the ones that are right for you. So I want you to have an open mind. But the other requirement I have is that you actually put in the work. So if you're just consuming all the content and you're watching the videos, but you're not actually doing the work that I suggest, so like I said, each video's got the content, but then it's also got a little an activity or something that goes along with it. So you're actually taking action, and it's not just activities for the sake of learning and remembering stuff. It's actual practical things that you apply in your life. So if you're just listening and you get the understanding of what I'm saying, but you're not actually putting anything in practice, then you're not going to succeed, unfortunately. So my prerequisite is have an open mind, give it a go, try it out, and put in the work. If you do the course in its entirety, how I tell you to do it, then that's when you're going to see the changes. That's when you're going to see the life-changing things happen in your life. And that's what I want for you. Why would you invest your money and your time if you're not going to put in the work? So that's my prerequisite. So hopefully that's fine with you. Is how much time should I expect to dedicate to the course each week? Well, it really varies, and I have made one of the reasons I've given you lifetime access to the courses so you can go at your own pace. So even though there's 4 modules, it's not like you have to do one module each week. Now you 100% can. And the modules are different in size. They're not all equal. So for example, module 1 is the biggest amount of content. So I would probably recommend a couple of weeks to go through module 1. Because there's so much content in there. That's the most content heavy part, because I think that's the most important part. That's like your foundation. It's like when you're building a house, you wouldn't start with the roof. You're going to start laying the foundation first, because if you do the roof, everything else is going to crumble. So I want you to really put that time into module 1 so you can really get that good foundation, and then you can start all the other modules in the course. So like I say, I recommend you giving it a go at, like I say, do it how you want, however works for you. But if you go through the Time Mastery Blueprint, which is part of your bonuses and part of some of the pre-course training, when you access the module, I'll explain exactly how you can fit this into your life and how you can allocate your time. But what I recommend in anything, with any habits, it's really good to take daily action. So I would recommend dedicating a minimum of 30 minutes a day to either doing the course or taking the actions from the course or towards whatever your goals are that you're setting. Because if you're doing that, you can start creating that momentum, and this is when you start really, getting these good habits starting to stick. So that's what I would recommend. Obviously, life happens sometimes. Some days you just might not get to it, and that's fine. But it's completely flexible and up to you. But, you might smash out the course in a month. You might take 6 months or a year to get through it because you're doing it at your own pace. Or you might get through the course and then realize, and this is the great beauty of it being lifetime, you might, do really well and get ahead, but then you might start feeling that, some old habits might creep in, or you might feel stuck and you might want to repeat module 1 again, or you might want to repeat certain sections again, and you can do them as many times as you want. Next question is, can I interact with other participants or share experiences during the course? 100%. So you'll find that VIP community. It is such a great tool for you to connect with others. And you'll often find, like I say, bankruptcy can be quite an isolating experience because it's not a common thing that all your friends have gone through. It's not like, wanting to lose weight and, lots of people have had that experience. Whereas something like this is very, not as common. So I want you to be able to use the group to connect with each other and have that accountability, but also, be able to experience something together with someone else, which is, it's empowering. You might have new connections or new friends that you create through the group. Final question while that's wrapping up is, can I access the course content on mobile devices or tablets? Yes, you can. So you have access to that on, you'll get, as soon as you log in, you have access to your online learning portal, which will get all the details emailed to you, and you can log into that on any device that you have, anything that has, as long as you've got connection to the internet, you'll be able to access that. And I'll show you in the course how you can save it as like a little fast shortcut on your phones and things like that too, just to make it easy, because I know that's what I do when I do courses, because sometimes I like listening to it while I'm in the car, if I'm like listening to the videos, so it can just help sink into my brain and things like that. So I wanted to make it super easy for you. This is exciting because this means you're starting to get in, just take control of your finances, which is sensational. And just watching a whole content, like an hour-long webinar or over an hour, is so good, because that means you've got that time now to you're feeling that motivation and you're ready to start changing. The fact you're watching this show tells me you're ready to start making some changes in your life, which is so exciting. Now, if you've not decided that this is not right for you today, but I really thank you for watching, and you can still connect with me if you're not in the Bankruptcy to Bliss Facebook group. You can also listen to my podcast, which is Bankruptcy to Bliss. So these are also places where I share some insights and some content to help people, because my goal is just to help as many people as I can get back on track after their bankruptcy, because like I say, I want you to have the fastest way possible to get back where you want to be. Now, if you enjoyed today's masterclass, feel free to share this with other people. There'll be future webinars as well. And if you didn't want to sign up today, but then down the track you might have changed your mind, you can definitely get in contact with me and I will give you the opportunity to enroll in the course again if the time is right for you, because I know it's not always right for you. Thank you so much, and wherever you are on your journey, I am wishing you the best of luck, and I'm so excited for you to start creating the financial life of your dreams. Thank you so much for connecting, and enjoy the rest of your evening.